Welcome back to the Try Swim Coach podcast, where we break down the strokes, the stories, and sometimes the tangents that make swimming more than just laps in a pool. Today, we're diving into something a bit different, the idea of swimming as more than just exercise, that it's actually a part of lifestyle. We talk about why getting in the water isn't just about technique or beating your last time. It's about how it fits or sometimes doesn't fit into your daily lives. We dig into how swimming can change lives, whether it's for health, therapy, or just finding that rare bit of silence underwater. Oh, and heads up, we're on YouTube now. Not all the episodes, well, because, technology hates me, but we're getting there. So if you want to watch us ramble in real time, go check it out. All right, let's jump in or dive in or whatever. All right, we got the cameras up and running. Sound looks like we're good to go. If you are listening to this podcast, did you know you can also now watch this podcast? Not while you're driving, please, but you can jump on YouTube whenever and just look up Try Swim Coach Podcast. You'll find some of these episodes. Not all the episodes are on YouTube right now, because we've worked through some of the camera issues that we've had. Some episodes obviously don't have any footage, and I think I'm going to play around with seeing if we can make something.
AI footage
or stock footage or just images. Ken Burns style. You know who Ken Burns is?
I was going to say documentarian.
Good job.
Crush it.
So we might add some old podcasts in that Ken Burns sort of like panning photo way. We'll figure out a way to put them up there that they're at least somewhat entertaining to look at. But also, any of the solo podcasts that I've done, I haven't put up on YouTube yet because it's weird. I'm literally just talking to a camera face on. And so It looks weird. I can't just put it up there. I definitely, just like the old podcast that we're going to kind of like make into a Ken Burns documentary, I have to do something similar for those solo casts, because otherwise it's just very intense.
I wonder if
or at least maybe it's me looking at myself. I'm like,
way too
who wants
animated.
To look at that?
You're like, do I do that?
It's like way too close to my face some of the times. But also, so everyone knows, this isn't our full-time job. This podcast doesn't feed us. This podcast is for fun and the joy of doing a podcast. So the videos go up on YouTube when the videos go up on YouTube.
If they don't, they don't.
But they will eventually. So, we're hobbyist podcasters.
So cute. Hobby,
I guess.
Hobby. That makes sense.
This definitely isn't
going to
lobby. You know what? This actually leads me into the conversation that we kind of were like, oh, we should talk about these sort of things. We do this podcast to better enrich what we do. It makes us better at what we do, right? Because we need to take the time to sit down and talk about things and break it down and interview some people that we've either worked with or don't work with and want to learn from. We get to kind of go off on tangents and follow those tangents. And so it does make us better at coaching, I believe. Right? Just like if you take the time to write down what you coach and think about it in terms of like, how would you write this in a book? It makes you a better coach. Well, we had talked about how for some people, I'll say this, swimming is their main exercise. But for, I would say, an overwhelming population of the world, it is not, and it isn't even in existence in their forming of their workout routine, right? It doesn't exist in their workout world.
Not in the list of available activities.
I think back to like 2020, we started to hear a certain phrase, and the phrase was,
Wear your mask.
Yes.
Sorry.
That was said a lot in 2020.
Get away from me.
Maybe it was 2021 that this started to happen.
Social distancing. Sorry.
Maybe 2021.
Can't help it.
We started to get people wanting to learn how to swim or work on their swimming for a lifestyle change. And I remember being the first time I heard that from somebody and being like, what does that absolutely mean? Like, swimming's a part of my lifestyle.
You didn't know what they meant.
Right. I don't know. How do you define that? What does it mean?
I mean, I feel like if I said that to you in that context, for me, it would have to be something different. Like I'm thinking about adding, oh my God, running
Which you should.
to my workout regimen, which I won't. And like that would be a huge quote unquote lifestyle change for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because, well, that whole workout routine would be completely different. And so, I have to fit that new thing in. The beginning and the end of it would be different, like how I get ready and how I get unready.
Get unready.
Right? It would take longer or shorter. That whole situation is going to be different. And then from my point of view, but this most likely stems from the fact that I've been competitively swimming. I did that as my main form of exercise growing up. Right? So it was also like my brain is used to thinking about all of the things outside of the activity in order to see if I can fit that into my quote unquote lifestyle.
Right.
Right,
And
like,
it's
right
definitely
now-
something people do not take into consideration.
No, like right now, swimming does not fit into my quote unquote lifestyle.
Even though
I
you stand in
do
front of a
not-
pool all day?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I don't have the time to get that workout in my lifestyle. I
I-
would have to change my lifestyle to shove that back into it.
I don't have the desire because I stand in front of a pool all day long.
Oh,
It is
We're back on you.
less
Okay.
desirable for me to go swim because I need a break from being in front of the pool.
it makes me want to swim. I don't want to. I used to have the thought, I think I did this a few times in the last few years. Like if someone got sick or stood me up, or I just had like a big break in between my lessons and I didn't want to do admin work because either it was going to take too long and I didn't want to start it and
Mhm.
then have to come back to it later without having finished it, I would get in and swim sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But that was so, coming back to it, like thinking about it now, that was so selfish of me to do that in between my clients, because I mean, who wants to show up to their one-on-one private, not cheap swim lesson being coached by a drowned rat? Like, I can't, there's also not enough time to make myself look aesthetically presentable.
Yep.
Like, just because I work at a pool, I don't think that I should look like you do when you're in the pool.
Yeah,
Like, I don't believe that. And that's just me, right? Like, I don't think me doing that and then being in like leggings and a sports bra and my hair sopping wet and a ball on top of my head, no one seemed to feel any kind of way about that. But I felt a kind of way about that. And I'm like, okay, this is selfish of you. You're just trying to get in this workout in the time that you're at the pool. So brain went, ooh, we don't have to take that time to do this. We've already done it. You have to be here afterward. No one cares what you look like.
Mm-mm.
But then I'm like, I'm not presenting like a professional anything, in my opinion, when I do this.
Agreed.
And I just didn't feel, after I swam, yeah, it felt good, but then I'm done. You know, like, it's like I would like to go put sweatpants on
Oh,
and eat and or watch a show and or not have to go back to my show.
it's an interesting thought.
Like, it changes my mindset so much.
For sure.
But it's not necessarily the working out. It's the fact that I had to like really change. I'd change all of my hair, put it in a cap, put goggles on, and then my entire appearance is different afterwards. That on its own just made me like, just feels like it's unfair to do when I'm at work.
Mhm.
And so it became like, I can do a Pilates workout in between, but not for me. Like, I could film one for my clients while I'm at work in between lessons and still stay in the same like work mindset. But if I went, I need to go work out and just did a workout for myself, it would take me out of my mindset. And I like, my next client would show up and I'd be like, hey, you want to go get like a muffin?
Because that's what you're thinking about after you swim. is
I'm just
muffins.
like, my mind's like done. It's like not as actively working in the sense that it's supposed to be in that environment anymore, because
right.
I removed it so much. And I think that that's such like a benefit of swimming. I do miss that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have the time to put it in right now. And then I guess it does kind of go back to your like, I don't want to do it anymore because I've been at the pool all day working. I can feel that because I'm not going to want to like go back after I'm done or be like, okay, I'm done with my lessons and my work for the day. Now I'm going to get in the water. No.
Right. Right. Well, versus like tonight where we have a clinic, I'm super excited to get in the water with everybody, right? Because I'm also haven't been standing in front of a pool all day long.
You also need a recovery workout for your legs. So you're like really looking forward to that aspect.
I am a little bit. Yes. So it's interesting you're bringing this up or saying the
so
way
yes, that's how I would describe a lifestyle change.
Kind of like you're presenting it because it's like, oh yeah, a couple of things. First, somehow swim coaches can get away with looking like bums, right? When you think about like a baseball manager or coach, what are they wearing?
Cargo shorts?
Baseball?
Oh,
No.
baseball?
They're
Oh, baseball manager or coach? They're
Yeah.
in a suit. Sorry.
No, they're in a uniform. They're in a baseball uniform. They're
Okay.
part of the team, right?
Okay,
What is a
no,
basketball
not right.
coach?
I guess I didn't know.
Right? What does a basketball coach wear?
I don't know, man.
A suit. You had it.
Oh, okay. I don't watch these sports.
What is a what
I
is
know a
soccer
football coach wears their shit,
They wear
but
like,
looks,
they
but well,
seem
at
to look
a
like
better
golf wear.
football game, they'll wear a suit. Wait, is that true?
No.
No, that's not true. They're always in like a sweatshirt.
They're always in slacks and some sort of like polo shirt at this point now, unless they're just bums. But even like think about soccer coaches. They wear suits most of the time, right? Swim coaches? What are they wearing? T-shirts
and cargo shorts,
shorts,
flip-flops.
flip-flops.
Why? I've never
I don't.
understood it.
They get a pass for some reason. They really shouldn't. It doesn't look very professional. I've always felt this way about coaching in general. That you should be trying to be. You should look as professional as you can while dealing with the circumstances of either being in a really humid pool on a pool deck, or being out in the open water, or being at a facility like SwimBox. Right? You should still be trying to look professional. So
Right,
I
we're
appreciate that.
not in Florida outside like that. Like I'm just trying to say like we're in Virginia inside. Like I'm not trying to say like the swim coaches who are on deck and like coach outside in like hot weather and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that it might stem from something sort of like that. Because at least in this area, a lot of coaches start by coaching in the summer, and they start when they're like 15, and so you just show up, and then no one tells you to change, or you did your practice in the summer, and then you just put a towel on, and then you coach.
Right.
Right, and so I think it like can stem from that. No one ever made me change. Why should I?
Well,
like
I started my coaching career in the Bahamas. Right. Pretty hot, warm place, very humid. I still dressed intentionally to look as professional as I could.
And that was
circumstances.
your decision, though. No one told you to do that.
Because I recognized that my college coach, he did make an effort to look professional while on the pool deck.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, could he have been a little bit more? Probably. But he was better than the average for sure. And I just recognized also because I started coaching when I was 21 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I started coaching master swimmers who were in their 40s. They definitely did not. They didn't disrespect me, but they certainly didn't respect me as a coach because I was just a kid, right? And so I needed to do everything I could to look the part as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I made sure of that as the best as I could. That's all I'm saying. It's like, put an effort in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a coach, put an effort in. Look good. Anyway, this is a long tangent.
I know.
So,
but it was funny. That's making me think about how, like, when you first started to, in my memory, when I guess you started wearing more like button downs or whatever at SwimBox, people would often ask you, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, where
today?
are you going?
Where are you going today? And you're like, I'm here. I'm at my job.
Yeah.
But it was like an overwhelming amount of people. It's like, nope, I just want to be presented this way. How is that so shocking to you? But it was like, oh, yeah. Why would you be dressed that way? Because I would like to be.
Years ago, I had my hair shorter than it is now. And when I would get it cut shorter, somebody always on deck would either say something to the effect of, oh, are you joining the Marines? Or, oh, do you have a job interview? Right? As a joke. I get it. My hair was short. It was tight, whatever. Well, on Tuesday, I got a haircut on Friday. On Tuesday.
Last Friday.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Client comes in and goes, what, are you going to join the Marines? What? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just got a regular haircut. But.
What?
I don't know. There's
don't
like
get
a
that
thing
one.
where like if you're kept well, people don't think you're a swim coach. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that is true.
Anyway,
I find more so that when I look, no, people don't. No, it's not me. People don't ask me what I'm dressed for, but
right.
I dress in like a mix. Why are we talking? Why am I talking? No one cares about what I wear.
I mean, you're going down this tangent, and I'm
I
trying to
wear
change the course.
Lululemon.
So, anyway, as we were talking about lifestyle, swimming lifestyle,
Did I explain?
I thought you did. If you can't remember what she explained, rewind, listen
Lifestyle
to it
change.
again. I think the important thing, there's two important things about making swimming a part of your lifestyle. It's
Mhm.
about defining how much swimming do you need to be doing to make it a part of your lifestyle, and are there other people in your life that are going to be doing that with you? Because it's really hard to have a lifestyle change if no one you know also doesn't swim, right? Like, so I think there's some cool things that happen with swimming, and that you can go to a pool by yourself
Yeah.
and sort of have a community pretty easily, because people often get into these routines where, like, I always go to the pool on this day at this time,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start seeing the same people. And if you're pleasant enough, you can make friends that way. And
If
so
you're pleasant enough.
if they're pleasant enough too, because
I mean,
sometimes
so many
people
people
aren't.
go to the pool and don't want people to talk to them, though.
It's true.
You know?
It's a thing.
So
Right?
that's
That's
like
like,
a
like if
hard.
you exude pleasantness, people will talk to you.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So it's hard to do something, make a change in your life, if the rest of the people in your life aren't also going to be doing that thing. And so you have.
Yeah, but that just sounded like an excuse.
I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's realistic.
I
If you're
started
going to
doing
be realistic,
Pilates all by myself because I wanted to do it on a ground in my basement.
swimming's different than being able to go down to your basement and do Pilates.
I know, I'm just saying that in a certain sense, I would be like, just in a very personal thought that I just had, I'd be like, okay, you don't want to do it enough.
There's that.
But
But
I
it's also
also have
intimidating to go
been,
to a pool. It's
yeah,
intimidating to
and
go
I've
to something
always
that you're not great
been
at.
I've never understood the concept of people like signing up for races to have like a reason to train,
Carrot.
or like I need people to train with to be able to train. I do get that that's a very overarching, more common thought than mine.
Sure. But people find swimming in lots of different ways for lots of different reasons.
Mhm.
Right? Because of SwimBox, we get introduced to people that find swimming because of triathlon. Right? I've had plenty of clients tell me they started doing triathlon just because they wanted to be better at swimming, and it gave them something to be better at swimming for.
Okay,
Right?
goal.
So, like, I get that. It's a natural progression too. Like, oh, I've already done really well for myself running, so let me add something else to my challenge,
Mhm.
right? So I get how some people find swimming in that way, but you have lots of clients, or you have some clients that find swimming in other ways as well. Do you care to talk about those ways, or are you just going to stare at
No,
me?
I was just thinking about something. Yeah, I mean, one of my clients has, is it an autoimmune disorder? I
Yes.
think so.
It is.
Called POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Sounded like I could actually read. Pretty happy with that.
I'll stick with POTS.
So I'm just going to read the definition really quickly. POTS is often associated with an autoimmune component, meaning the body's immune system may mistakenly attack its own tissues. Oh, that's not about POTS. That's just about autoimmune. Well, that was less helpful than I thought. But mainly, one of her biggest issues with her POTS is that her blood flow is not good. Her blood will pool in portions of her body just throughout the day. And so the reason why she first came in 2 years ago was to just be in the water to get the benefits of light compression. And I literally just mean be in the water.
Right.
Like when she first came in, I was sort of a little like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And then I thought, oh, well, she just needs to feel better. That's what this is about.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I would have her like move around in the water while we talked and stuff like that. And she was adamant that she didn't want to swim. And so then I would lightly trick her into doing swim type things.
Like what? What do you mean by lightly trigger?
Well, I can make the blood circulate. Where is it pooling the most right now? Because, like, you know, the compression of the water's not insane. You're not in a whole body compression suit. Like, it can't be that amazing. I'm
She's
sure
not
you
that
feel
deep in the water.
exactly. It's up to her shoulders.
Right.
So, where could it feel better? And it's often her legs. And so the first thing I did was have her hold on to the bar of the current so that I could trick her into getting more blood flow into her lower extremities. Well, let's not have them hanging down at the bottom underneath you while we're standing. Let's hold on to the bar. We're just going to move our hips and our knees in this mobility movement to make the blood flow move. Brushstroke kick. Well, she really enjoyed that. What's another?
That feels so good.
It feels so good. And I can kind of stretch, and that's really cool. And I can, like, talk to her about using the tension of the water.
That's some Jedi mind shit right there.
I'm telling her, I'm literally like, okay, I will try to get you to move around in here, but I don't know where the end goal is, right? If you do find that you like these movements that are more like swimming, I'm going to keep making you do them. Right? So that day, was that like Yogi Bear?
You were real up in the mic when you did that too, so it was pretty loud.
That should sound great. You're welcome, everybody. So then it was, well, what different way we can move our legs, different way that we can, oh, it hurts in your low back right now. Okay, let's tuck our pelvis and float. Now let's learn a freestyle kick so that we can loosen up that low back, get some wiggle in there. Oh, this does feel good. And now the bitch loves to swim. Tries to come in as often as she can. But because of her POTS, and she has a lot of
POTS is
things
a heart
that
disease or syndrome, rather.
It's really hard to deal with. And it has a lot of things that happen also, like, from it. So think POTS is her umbrella, and we've got a lot of things happening below it. And it's so now swimming, when she gets to come in, she tries to come in like 2 or 3 times a week. And she always is telling me now that she's missed it. She couldn't wait to get back to swimming. Not the pool. Not the pool. Right? And it's been so nice getting to play with that with her. Because some days it's like, just want to move. I'm like, okay, we can move however you want. Last time you really enjoyed moving like this.
What you just said is actually a really great point, that for me as a swim coach, if someone finds swimming just because it feels good to them to move in the water, that's amazing. All right. I don't care if they know how to swim. I don't care if they swim well.
No.
But if it's like, oh, swimming's that thing that actually makes me feel really good.
Yep.
I'm not good at it, but it makes me feel good. I love that.
It's only been making her feel better, and it gives her also this really nice sense of accomplishment because these are her words, because she didn't care to learn. She just came in because it was sort of like, yeah, nothing really feels good. I might as well try one other thing. And now this got her this like secret joy that she had no idea that she could find there. And now we keep working on her swimming, and it's awesome. And she's swimming really well. And it's so much fun to get to be a part of that, because it's just, okay, we just want to make you feel better. How can we do that?
Right. And so I have somebody who had a stroke a couple of years ago, and you've worked with him in the past, basically doing water therapy, right? Doing things in the water for compression reasons, but also for safety reasons, right? He's not going to fall if he's in the water, right? Things like that. And I don't know, how many years have we been working with him now? About a year or more?
Little over a
year and a half. I've been getting
it'll be like 2 this summer.
Yeah. I've been getting in the water with him. He's been starting to kind of get on his back and float on his back. And the last time I saw him last weekend, I just sort of like popped the question, hey, have you ever thought about actually swimming? And he said, no, but I'd like to.
Hey, Jeff. I mean, whoever this is. Whoever you are.
You're terrible at this. So
I can give a last name, and you can always edit it if you need to and put in one of those sounds, and then no one will ever know.
I'll edit that sound out that you just made.
You're welcome.
So for me, it's an opportunity to do
I think
something.
you should explain. People can have strokes and be like totally the same amount of mobility. He couldn't move
His whole right side is paralyzed.
There we go. Thank you.
His right leg is gaining a lot more movement and mobility back. His right arm, not so much, but we're gaining some and we're seeing some.
His wrist and hand have gotten so much better.
So he does contribute the work that we've been doing to benefiting and helping all of the movement and gaining back movement and gaining back sensation. And when I was at Walter Reed, I worked with a guy who was a stroke victim who did swim before the stroke and thought he wasn't going to ever swim again. And we got him swimming. So I'm really excited to try to bring that to our client who does not have a first name.
Harsh.
So it's not like I have an expectation that he's going to go to the pool 5 days a week or 4 days a week or even 3 days a week.
He might never go to the pool by himself.
Right. But it is an opportunity for him to introduce swimming into his lifestyle to help promote a better quality of life, whether it's the joy that it brings him, whether it's the cardiovascular health that it brings him, or for some people, it's the deprivation. As we talked to Ryan on the podcast, on the last podcast.
Oxygen?
No, not oxygen deprivation.
Deprivation of what?
Sound.
Oh, you mean while you're submerged?
Visuals. Right?
Okay.
There's like not much to look at. There's not much to hear down there.
It's like silent.
And so
It's silent to me.
So there's a deprivation factor to swimming that people often don't expect, by the way. Like when we get new people that come in, sometimes they go into the water for the first time ever. They're like, it's weird down there.
Yep.
Right?
It's a whole other world.
Like Ryan was saying, he had mentioned in the last podcast, he's swimming like 17 hours a week like a crazy person. Good for him. It's part of his lifestyle. He's using that time to sort out emotions and create thought about problems that he needs to solve. All right. So it is an opportunity sometimes for some people to quiet their mind. I think swimming can be a form of meditation. And I think sometimes it's an opportunity to solve problems as well. So swimming is an opportunity to do some things that maybe you don't do in other exercises. I know, with a running background, running does that for me as well, but not in the same way. It's a different thing for me. Swimming is definitely quieter in my mind than running. Running, there's a lot more stimulus, right? I'm looking at trees. I'm looking at the person in front of me on the trail that I'm going to go chase down and pass and go, yes, I'm faster than that person.
It's so interesting to me.
Right. Well, in swimming, if I'm swimming with somebody, there's a little bit of that element. But even then, it's a quieter mind for sure. For me.
I was going to agree with you emphatically, but the way that you just pitched your running brain is so different from mine. Because you're like, there are all these things that I'm noticing and seeing, and I'm going to run past that person and blah, blah, blah. And I literally would be like, when am I done? When am I done? This is torture with running.
Right.
Literally. But with swimming, I do agree. It's like, it's silent. And I have like a ton of thoughts all the time. My brain is not silent. And
ADHD?
So when, I don't know, man. I'm sure everyone has that. Let's stop trying to say that only some people have ADHD. Okay? Everyone's got a version of it, in my opinion. Something shiny goes by, you look at it. It's okay.
I just did it to you.
Yep. Anyway. Yeah, see, what the fuck?
All the thoughts when you swim.
So I loved the silent when I would swim, but I could do those same things that you're talking about with running. And I could never do that in any other way. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is like when you would say there's so many things to stimulate you when you're running, so many things to see. You see this person, you want to run after them and get ahead of them. I would do that in swimming, but like subconsciously. And so it wouldn't be an active thought. And then I would have, but I was aware it was there. I enjoyed it at practice. But then, so my brother was the smart one. And I swam. That was the thing that I did. That was my thing. So, how do I put this? I loved swimming, and I liked the fact that it was quiet under the water. It felt like the only time that I could actually like fully think through things or like fully hear myself. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I brought up the thing about my brother being the smart one because it was like my thoughts. I wasn't smart to my family. So it was like my thoughts never really seemed to be in anyone. Like, God, I am not articulating this well. It was easier for me to think that I was allowed to fully think through my own thoughts when I was swimming, as opposed to like, oh, we're at the dinner table talking about this right now, and Josh is the smart one. That's my brother. I'll say his fucking name. Joshua Kenton, named after the spinal doctor that saved my mom's scoliosis. There you go. So much information about a human
Focus
with
up,
names.
ADHD.
I'm not focused because you're so mad I said that other guy's name, so now I'm just going to say all this shit about my
I'm
brother.
not mad about it. I don't care.
He will never listen and doesn't even know this exists. But anyway, so I loved swimming and I liked that I could think during it. And I think it was definitely the first time that I realized that I could sort of have a meditative thought, but it was also focused because I was doing something and I had that subconscious, like, push off the wall. Like, are you kicking correctly? Feel this, feel that. Oh, you need to be ahead of that person. You're actually faster than them and you're letting them beat you. Right. And then, it was my thing. And like my friends in school did not swim. I had 2 sets of friends. I liked it that way. I definitely did that. I avoided the people at my school, the one person on my swim team who wanted to carpool with me from practice. Nope, we swam. I'm done with you for now. Also, we are not really friends. Anyway.
Yeah, your swim team friends.
Well, I mean,
your swim team acquaintances.
Don't get me wrong, she was like the only person I wouldn't have carpooled with in my like 22-person practice. I was like, no, I don't care.
Got it.
I would rather take longer. I don't care. I will sit in the traffic. So anyway, one day I got dumped and I went to practice, right? Like I would normally. And I got in the pool and it wasn't a nice silent anymore. It was a resounding silent. And I could only think about how I had just been dumped and the thoughts around that. And I could not stop them. And it was so silent that that's all I could hear. And so they were like more aggressive of a thought than it would have been on land when there are all these other sounds and things like to distract me.
Right.
Right. And so since I was a kid and I didn't know in any way to try to control my thoughts, I stopped swimming for a little bit. Even though that was the thing that I loved the most, made me feel the best. It was the thing I was good at. I hated how my thoughts were making me feel at that point. And I was like, okay, I can't do it.
So,
or like,
do you feel like that led to a burnout situation,
No.
thinking? Or do you feel like you weren't really burned out? You were just emotionally...
I was emotionally fucked with.
Okay.
And it gave
That's the way to put it.
The silence in the pool, my brain went, let's think about that. Only. You went over there to try to sing a song to distract me? Bitch, I'm still here. Listen to me. That's all we're going to think about. And it was just like impossible to stop it. And as I've talked about before, a very stream of consciousness thoughts. And those were not. They were very like, let's think through this conversation. What'd you do here? What did this mean? Why? Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, this is terrifyingly awful.
And I've only gone 25 yards.
And yeah. And oh my God, I'm swimming terribly too. And it felt like it took something from me. And I had to it did. And I had to figure out how to like get back to it.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't. It was more so like, I didn't like quit or anything. I'm making this sound very aggressive. It was just some days my thoughts I knew were going to be way too like negative and sad and make me feel worse when I got out of the pool than the physical swimming would have. And so I like didn't go to practice those mornings. But then I felt so shitty later in the day when I had like a glimmer of a thought. I was like, did you really not do the thing you love the most that makes you feel the best, that is your thing right now? To what? Are you fucking kidding? You couldn't
Oh, you're mean to yourself, huh?
Well, it just seemed like you got dumped and
now you're choosing this?
Yeah. And I was like, that's ridiculous of me. Like, how do I figure this out?
I will say, as you...
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely. As
so...
you're talking about this, it definitely makes me understand why you connect with so many of the teenagers that come in. Because I do think that you come at it from a perspective of mental well-being.
100%.
And
I don't mean to.
Right, but you know that that's a part of it,
Yeah.
and you definitely have experienced that. Where I'm pretty much just a dumb ape. I'm like, go swim fast. Okay, I'll go swim fast now. So I love technique and I love how the human body works. And that's how I come to coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I bring to the table when I come to the table of coaching. And so it's really very apparent that how swimming made you feel versus maybe outside things make you feel certain ways, and how they either bridged the gap for you or created a terrible problem for you. And so it's so nice that you're able to connect with people that probably also have similar things going on that adults don't care to talk about, don't want to talk about because they can't talk about them with their athletes, or honestly just only care about going fast, showing up to practice, get out, go to school, show up again, right? And they don't
Yeah.
really care about those athletes as humans. And it's very clear that you do. So
It's like,
it was just enlightening. And it's very insightful to how you bring what you bring to the coaching table.
I think I also just thank you. I think I also just realized something. When I was a kid and I would play in the pool, I would play by myself underwater. And I was always like a mermaid, and like it was underwater was like my world. Like I felt so free in myself underwater, doing anything. I don't know what I was doing, just moving around underwater. It was amazing. I never even had the thought that there wasn't oxygen under there.
It's the closest you can get to flying.
I didn't have that thought though. I wanted to be a mermaid.
But that's what it is.
Right?
Yeah, you're free.
But it was like that was my world. And then my brain went, ooh, you're not in control of this as much as you thought. Right? And so I had to figure out how to deal with this is a safe feeling and like a freeing, wonderful feeling, but also it gives my brain the space and like non-stimulus to think more about the things that I've been able to not think about outside of the water because I didn't want to. And so it's like, okay, let's see if we can utilize this. But I did have to give it back to myself. And this wasn't like this wasn't me quitting or anything. Like this was just me like dealing with emotions I'd never had before. My first heartbreak. We can say his name too, Rick. Haha, he'll never listen. And
it's not about people listening, by the way, just so you know.
I'm saying first names.
I know. It's about people who are listening, finding these random people that we talk about in,
good luck, reach out to him.
So
he'll be like, what do you want? And then he'll make fun of...
That's why I protect the names
Then he'll make fun of me for liking the Giants, and he'll say something about the Eagles. There you go. Nailed it. That's what happened. And so I just like couldn't... It was an interesting like thinking about it now because I didn't really want to think through it, obviously, what was happening. And then this did happen to me again in college. I'm a very emotional person because this was also when I was dumped. This is funny.
Wow.
But then it wasn't so much swimming. It was more like that was a next level up. And so my emotional intelligence didn't know how to deal with that on that next level up. And so what I did, this is just fun. I think this is interesting. Because of my stream of consciousness thoughts, I couldn't stop thinking like a name or like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't replace it. Like my brain was like too smart to replace it with something. So songs didn't work. Things like that didn't work. And it wasn't like anything behind the thought. I just didn't want, I'm like, I don't want to think that name. Like that's how it got at this certain point. And so what I did was I read American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis because it is so stream of consciousness.
Book talk.
Yeah, so good. And it just filled my brain so much because I read it a little faster because of how it was written.
Like somebody's thoughts.
Yeah. I mean,
that's how it's supposed to be written.
Good Lord.
I've never read it.
When
but that's
was
my
this?
Understanding.
This was like 17 years ago. I need to read it again.
Okay.
And it was so good. It could fill my brain. And I could just keep reading and it just kept going. So there was no break. I didn't have to thin it. And by the way, that's a good book.
Yeah.
That's a great book. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's fake. It's great. So many things to think about. And I thought it was fascinating. Shoot. And then I read a different one because I needed to make sure, because that wasn't enough. What was this one called?
So your recommendation for this week's book talk is American Psycho. Highly recommended by Lissa.
And then I read another one by him.
So,
but it wasn't as good.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. And I can't remember the title. I'm not going to remember the title. It
Because
doesn't matter. If you can find it,
I'm
you'll find it.
looking.
I'm going to bring this conversation back onto the lifestyle concept because this was a little bit of a therapy session for you, which
Might
is
have been
great.
Glamorama. Might have been Glamorama, but
Glamorama.
that doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't connect
The cover
with
of the
memory
book
that I have.
looks right, but I'm also having trouble because I'm trying. It. Now I lost the other book.
One of the things that we get a lot of the times with triathletes coming in is it's almost like they have to swim as a necessity, not for joy, not for pleasure, but because it's a part of this race that I decided I'm going to do.
Tick off the tick box.
In my time, in my experience, I love it when my triathletes have become swimmers.
Yeah.
And I do have a handful who have become marathon swimmers, and I love that because they just found swimming to be the thing that they actually enjoyed more than triathlon.
Right.
But what is really interesting is through working with us, a lot of the times people do start to fall in love with their swimming because we give them things to contemplate while they swim, technique-wise, goal-oriented-wise, where beforehand they were just kind of not sure what to do when they got to the pool. And side note, do you know how many triathletes, their coaches, don't actually give them swim workouts?
What?
They just literally go to the pool for 40 minutes.
And do what?
That's their swim workout. Go swim for 40 minutes. That's fucking boring.
Also,
and not helpful.
From my brain perspective, that's running to me. You want me to go run for 40 minutes?
Right?
What? Do what?
Anyway, I digress. But
the other book I was talking about, James Fry, A Million Little Pieces.
Ooh.
Just a very good book, okay? Don't get on me about how it wasn't real. I don't give a shit, okay? I don't care. It's a great book.
Just go with it.
Great to fill your brain with so many things.
It is.
And it's a fun art cover, too.
So, I think having an objective or a goal makes it more fun to go swim. But what's really interesting to me is like about 8 months ago, well, maybe more than 8 months ago, maybe 10 months ago, one of my, we'll say, longer term clients, I've been working with him for about 2 years at that point, about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
He had mentioned to me that he sees my coaching going to a different place, not just coaching swimming.
Narnia.
Going to Narnia.
Okay, what did you ask him to expand?
Yes, meaning we were talking about his overall fitness and well-being and wellness, not just swimming, but swimming was a base for it. All right.
So his like physical well-being
and mental.
Okay.
Right. We honed in on some things. We worked on. I took a look at his schedule to see what he could change in his schedule to help him figure out how to fit workouts in appropriately.
His like day-to-day schedule? Okay.
We changed the way that we program things. I do program his swims for him where I like to do things on like a week-to-week basis. Like Ryan was saying for his training, he does a week of recovery swim, a week of, he called it build and then bulk. We do build and then endurance, same difference. And then a sprint week, right? Well, this client likes to think in 2-week periods, right? Okay. So, we kind of figured all that out. We talked about intermittent fasting and nutrition things and other approaches, right? And so he just felt like my coaching was going to a place of more like lifestyle coaching versus just coaching swimming.
Okay.
And I could see that.
You do like to give all the sense.
Yeah. I what we talk about in swimming is good for everything, right? It's really important to recognize that swimming as an activity, it doesn't need to be done 6 days a week. It doesn't need to be done 4 times a week. It doesn't need to be done 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But it is a great opportunity to vary what someone would normally do. Swimming uses...
In terms of their workouts?
Yeah. It does a couple of different things, right? I think about hips a lot because I'm weird.
It's just not really,
I think about posture
really
and
specific.
I think about swimming, right? But when you're running, you're using your outside of your hips, your abductors. But when you're swimming, you're using your adductors. So that is a really small little concept that goes, hey, look, this forces you to use different body parts in different ways when you're in the water versus on land. Variation is the spice of life. So if you can vary the way you move, you will live a healthier life. All right? Mobility is really important. Well, turns out our hearts work differently also when we swim versus when we run.
Oh yeah, didn't you read some study?
So,
Or I thought that it wasn't even that. Like it's like deeper than that. Like the longer you do one of those forms of activity, it like trains your heart to be more like that.
well,
Not just when you're swimming. I thought that's what
yes.
it was.
Well, it's just like any sort of land-based cardio, we're going to call it vertical cardio, will cause your heart to be stronger. Sounds like a great thing, right?
Mhm.
That is a really great thing. We want strong hearts. Think of hearts as just like a muscle, right? Just like a bicep. We want a stronger bicep. We lift weights, it gets stronger. We can lift more weight,
Mhm.
right? As my heart gets stronger, it can push more blood. That's fucking amazing. But also, don't we want muscles to be pliable so that we do have mobility and that we can, keep limber as we age?
Mhm.
Well, turns out horizontal cardio, swimming, does that. It doesn't necessarily make your heart stronger. It will to a point, but it makes your heart muscle more pliable. So if you do too much swimming, just like any other muscle, if it becomes too pliable, it doesn't work correctly.
Okay.
That's where like a lot of times swimmers have heart murmurs or AFib because their heart has become more pliable. And so it can be distressful for a physician to see that,
Okay.
right? Or stressful. I don't know what the word would be. Anyway, well, as we age, our hearts,
Wait, do you know why?
why it becomes more pliable?
Yeah, just because you're horizontal, but like
It's
you're also
because
in
the way your heart is
water.
pumping. It's because the heart does pump slightly differently when you're horizontal versus when you're vertical.
Not in water. Just horizontal versus
My
vertical.
understanding is horizontal. I don't think the water compression has anything to do with it.
Interesting. Or
There's
the lack of oxygen?
Well, that's a different thing. The lack of oxygen really trains your body to utilize oxygen less, which is also really, really important for anyone who's doing endurance sports on land because oxygen destroys soft tissue. Your heart is soft tissue. So the more you run, the more damage you actually end up doing to your heart. So
Oh, that's interesting.
being a marathon runner who does a marathon, I don't know, frequently and trains for that frequently, your life expectancy is actually lower than a couch potato's.
So you need to have
You need balance.
what did you say earlier?
Variation. Right? So as we age, our heart gets smaller. It starts to shrink. And that's where having a pliable heart is really beneficial. Because think about as something starts to shrink, it loses mobility. It becomes tighter and tighter, and it will stop pumping no matter how strong it is. Welcome to cardiac arrest. That's what that is. Right? So
Okay.
it's really important from a holistic standpoint to add swimming as even if it's just a once a week activity
Yeah.
to vary what you do the rest of the week, to change the way that your heart is working the rest of the week. By no means do I think swimming is the best exercise for everybody. We need lots of different things, right?
Yeah.
We need bone density, right? So running is going to be really great for that. Lifting weights is going to be really great for that, right?
Wait, I don't understand that sentence. We need bone density, so running is really great for that. Oh,
Running-
to promote bone density?
Correct,
Okay.
right? So you understood me.
Nope. That took
You
I
got
had to
there.
think through it. I was like, what do you mean?
You got there. You must have
What the
understood
fuck
a
are
little
you
bit.
talking about? Okay.
Right? And so it's something I try to promote to a lot of my athletes, whether they're coming in to only swim, like my marathon swimmers. I try to get them to do something on land, like a 4x4, to make sure they're doing some vertical cardio. We kind of jokingly called Ryan an outlier because Ryan last week was like, "Oh, and I also do maintenance work like stretching."
Oh yeah, so
You'd be
good.
amazed how many like
No one
marathon
stretches.
swimmers do not do that,
No one stretches.
right?
They're like, yeah, I'll get to it. It's like, no, you need to be doing it now. You don't get to it, then you can't.
Right. So
My splits now better than the ones I could do when I was a child.
yeah, and
And I lost them. I had to get it back.
yeah, that's true. And by splits, you don't mean swimming splits. You mean like
What would
legs
a
apart.
swimming split be?
Splits in time.
Oh,
Those are called splits.
yeah, we weren't even talking about time, so no, we were talking about flexible. Anyway,
So
yeah, splits on the ground.
So I think, oh, this is really come full circle. We were talking about how inconvenient it is for you to swim in the middle of the day because of clients, and it's just not. It's a to do, right? I've got to
Yeah.
like change. I've got to shower. I've got
In
to
the
change
middle of the
again.
day
My
at
hair is
work.
wet. When I used to coach afternoon masters practices, anybody who showed up to an afternoon practice, I was like, how are you doing this and going back to work? And
I
if you
did
had
that,
long
yeah.
hair, well, how are you doing this and going back to work?
I did that one once and I was like, this doesn't actually feel good. Like this was not a pleasant experience.
That's why people
for
swim
me.
in the morning. It really is.
Yeah, and I'd already swam that morning.
Yeah, there you go.
I only came back.
But I have a kind of new client. She hasn't started yet, but she told me, we talked about this before we actually started working together, because I'm always curious about how are you actually going to get swimming into your like weekly routine.
And maintain it.
And she said, I'm going to swim on days that I'm going to wash my hair. Perfect.
It was so good. Also, please
Perfect.
don't wash your hair every day. Thank you.
That's a perfect thing to do because it's centered around something she's already going to do, which is wash her hair.
Mhm.
If you add something arbitrarily to your lifestyle that doesn't fit in, you're not going to do it. All right. And so it's like, oh, she's going to go swim maybe twice a week. One of those is going to be with me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's going to be the day that she washes her hair. That's amazing. All right. So it's an opportunity to fit into her lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's going to be meaningful to her
And easy.
and easy. So I
Low
think it's
entry
really important.
changes are the best.
Say that again?
Low entry changes
Exactly
are the
right.
easiest ones to make and maintain.
Exactly right. So if she can be consistent with going to the pool twice a week, she's going to gain some benefit of that. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's mental or emotional, right? Maybe it's all. What were you going to say? I saw you open your mouth like you had something to say.
I totally lost it.
Okay.
It's
So
gone. Slid it off into the ether.
off into the wind. So
What's that?
I wanted to have this conversation on the podcast because
It's
Go ahead.
stupid.
I don't got it. Go ahead.
She's good in being like, yeah, hygiene. I'm going to shower after I swim. But one of my like high key favorite things is gross about swimming. Okay. And I don't give two shits because it feels so good to me. It's the feeling that a lot of people hate. And I find it delightful. It's when you get out of the pool and you don't shower and you let your skin feel kind of like dry and tight. And then your hair's not greasy. It's not clean, okay? It's just not greasy. You put that in a ball on top of your head, put on some sweats. It's such a good feeling to me. I don't know why, but it's like literally the feeling of
Is it
tight
nostalgic?
skin and still being able to smell kind of like the chlorine feeling that people
Yeah.
don't like.
Yep.
That they're like, I have to get this off of me. And I'm like, it'd be so nice if I felt that right now.
And I say it all the time. So I'm going to say it here. Swimmers are gross people.
I'm disgusting.
If you swim all the time, you'll probably do gross things.
I'm
Who
like, yeah,
cares?
who cares?
I don't care.
I'm the grossest person ever.
Um,
And I love it. Makes life so much easier.
But for me, this podcast was about having a conversation about not necessarily swimming the way that we normally talk about swimming, but talking about it in a way that just to say, go swim. Go swim once a week.
Mhm.
Go spend time in the water, even if it's not swimming, even if it's just water jogging or treading water. It's something to vary what you normally do. It's something that I think you can start to appreciate when it makes you feel better, even if you're not swimming per se. That's what this conversation was
Making this
for.
okay.
Yeah, I was just, you have
Thank you for the summary.
Well, you looked at me, or not even looked at me. You kind of like looked off into space, like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I just didn't know why you were summarizing our conversation.
I'm just trying to make it clear that this is an important thing to me. That
Yeah,
it
I think
isn't
that's very
about-
clear.
For me, swimming isn't about being the best swimmer. It isn't about having the best technique. It isn't about putting your swim on Instagram and having people go, well, that looks so pretty. That's not what it's about. What it's about is improving your lifestyle, improving your quality of life, and enjoying the thing that maybe is different than what you normally do, but accepting this is different than what I normally do. I like the difference
Mm-hmm.
versus, fuck, I gotta go to the pool. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's
But I
all.
mean, there are still people like that, and we're not trying to say that like this is for everyone.
It isn't. Swimming
It's
isn't
really
for
not,
everyone.
and like we totally know that. So don't think we're trying to say it's the best thing ever. That's Pilates. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Like-
It's not for everyone. We totally get that. Like, and like it can change. You could love it, and then something could happen, and
Maybe you love it less.
Maybe you love it less, and or maybe you don't anymore, and you found something that you love more, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We just want you to have that.
Yeah. And just keep in mind, just because doctors always recommend that people swim as they get older, that doesn't mean you can't be injured from swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that swimming's a cure-all either. It's
No,
not.
it's not.
You're going to compress your upper back if you swim too much. You're going to lose bone density because you're not taking a pounding anymore. All right. Those types of things matter. And so you should have a variation of working out. What were you going to say?
I was just thinking through the bone density thing. I was like, oh, you're not going to be taking a pounding. You mean that it's a low impact sport.
Correct.
The pounding that you're talking about is your legs on the pavement.
That
impact.
Or
is that what
lifting
you
weights
mean?
does exactly right.
Well, you were talking about running.
Right.
That was my brain just working through that, being like, oh, okay, that's what he meant. Got it.
Right. So,
I'm slow.
if anyone's out there and they're like, want to share a swimming story or how they found swimming, I'm up for it. I need some inspiration. I love it. I love it when people share
You
things
need
like this.
inspiration? Are
Always.
you all right?
I always need inspiration. Always. I always look for inspiration.
Oh, okay.
Or otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this 20-something years later.
No, I thought you meant like you were like, I'm feeling lame. I need to be inspired.
No. I just like knowing how people come to swimming and what that equals for them. It's always interesting to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Right.
I don't think you need to go to I love saying to people, I'm not trying to make you Michael Phelps. We don't need to go to the Olympics. And then when it's someone who is like, who? I'm like,
perfect. Exactly right.
Who do you know? Right. I don't know. And then they name someone
Ryan
and I'm like,
Lochte.
sure.
Who?
No, not even. And the best is when I go Amy Van Dyken or Jenny Thompson or Lenny Kraselberg. And then they look at me like I'm speaking in tongues. And then I look at them, I go, who's an Olympian to you? And they name someone I've like never heard of.
Yeah.
I do like, though, that not everyone in this area says Tori Husk.
Yes.
But
she's awesome.
I do. She's amazing. But in the beginning, I was like, who?
All right. You ready to end this? Anything else you need to say? Any other books you need to recommend for
No,
people?
but I do want to go watch the movie American Psycho with Christian Bale now.
Okay.
Because it's like watching the movie is a totally different experience to me than reading the book, because you can make them both totally different, and you can read the book and feel one way and be like definitive on what you think happened and all that shit. And then you can watch the movie and be like, did I get it all wrong? Right? It's fascinating. So I'm like, ooh, I think I do want to go watch that.
Let's go watch the movie.
Right? Christian Bale. Oh, and there's a woman in it who we didn't realize, and I can't remember anymore. And I was like, I think she plays the girlfriend
Yeah, who was that?
Oh, who was it?
Oh,
Who
I know
was
who
it?
it is.
Oh
It's the
my
girl
goodness, it's gonna
from the
kill
other
me.
two.
Helena Clark? Helena York? Come on.
If anyone's
Why did I just go to Christian Bale? That was stupid.
If anyone's looking for a TV show to watch, The Other Two is a fantastic show.
It's
very funny.
Hilarious.
Anyway,
No,
I'm going to
I've
end this
gotta find it.
podcast. You've got like 30 seconds to find this for anyone who's listening to the end of the podcast.
Justin Theroux is in this?
Well, you better hurry up. We've only got
my
10
God.
seconds now.
Okay. Chloe Sevigny, Reese Witherspoon.
Okay. And
It's not her. It must be Chloe Sevigny.
until next time.
Bye-bye.